Hey guys, I hope y'all are having a great day today and welcome back to the channel. I'm so excited because Mented Cosmetics has come out with some new concealers. These are their new full-time brightening concealers. According to Mented, these will last all day and they will not clock out on you. So we're going to be putting these to the test. I'm going to show you how they initially apply. We're going to start off with some swatches, then we'll apply it. I'll give you guys my initial thoughts on the concealer. And then of course we're going to wear them during the day and we're going to see how they work on my under eyes. Y'all know I have good under eyes for testing out concealers because I have the under eye darkness, I have the wrinkles, and I have the bags. So I love testing these out for you guys. And of course at the end of the video I will let y'all know if I think y'all should check these out. So I'm really excited, so let's jump right into it. Okay, I have these in two shades, so we're gonna do some swatches in just a second. So I picked mine up from Mented Cosmetics website. So again, this is called the Full-Time Brightening Concealer. It's full coverage and lightweight and it won't clock out. It's a triple threat. It brightens under the eye, it conceals blemishes, and it can be used as a contour. So for today, we're just going to be testing out how it brightens under the eye and how it conceals under the eye. So they retail for $18, but right now they are on sale for $14.40. So I'm not sure how long that sale is going to go on, and it's available in 8 flexible shades. So I got the shades Peak Performance and CEO. So let's start off with a couple of swatches. I feel like I may have to mix these two shades together, but we'll see. So the first one is Peak Performance. I think this one might be a little too light for me, and it might also be just a little too yellow. Maybe that's like more of a neutral shade. Let me see if I can build it up a little bit. This is definitely like not the right undertone for me, but this one is the shade Peak Performance. I don't know, maybe based on that I can go with just this deeper shade on its own. Again, this one is called CEO. Oh no, this one is too dark. Okay, so the lighter one is called Peak Performance and the deeper one is called CEO. Let's see what they look like when I mix them together, because I think that's what I'm gonna have to do. Okay, yeah, I think that'll be good if I mix them together. Let me zoom y'all in a little bit. I think we're gonna mix. So I'm gonna quickly put on some foundation first. I'm wearing my Makeup by Mario foundation because I just can't stop wearing this. It's my favorite right now. So just in case you're interested, I'll have everything that I'm wearing today listed down below. Okay, concealer or foundation is all blended out, so I only have my skincare products on the under eye for right now. So I think instead of doing like a 50-50 mix of both of these shades, I think I'm going to start out with the lighter shade and maybe just mix in a little bit of the deeper shade. So this is the shade Peak Performance. I'm going to do one eye so that we can get a side-by-side comparison. I do want to show y'all the doe foot because I like this. I like the size of it. I like how big it is. So I'm going to start off with just this shade and I'm going to put on just what's coming out on the doe foot. Now you guys know that I have those lines and wrinkles under my eye. I already went a little bit higher than I wanted to, but I try my best not to go like all the way up to my immediate under eye to avoid those lines and wrinkles. So I'm gonna put just a little bit of this one on top, and I might have to go in and kind of like tweak that color a little bit more after I blend it out. I usually wear a color corrector underneath my under eye concealer, but I don't do that when I'm testing a concealer out for the first time because I want to see how well it covers on its own without the assistance of a color corrector. So I don't have anything on the under eye except for the skincare. So I'm just going to blend this out. I like to pat over the concealer and try to keep it in place as much as possible when I'm blending on the under eye area. Oh, and this is the Rare Beauty foundation brush. This is what I usually use to blend out my under eye concealer. Okay, so I am gonna go build this up just a little bit, but my first impression on this is it says it's supposed to be full coverage and it's definitely covering up a good amount of darkness, but I don't know if I'm getting full coverage just yet, but I am gonna go and build it up with another layer. It blended out really nicely, really seamlessly, and I like the coverage of it. Did it say, is it supposed to be a natural coverage? It's definitely not a matte. It doesn't say, but it's definitely a natural looking coverage. So I like the coverage, the finish of it, and I think the coverage is giving me like a nice medium. So I'm gonna let this sit for just a minute, and then I'm gonna go on top of it with another layer to see if we can build the coverage up. All right, let's go in with a little bit more. Oh Lord, this is the wrong shade. This is the darker shade. I meant to put on the lighter shade first. And what I'm gonna do is, I should have done this with the first layer. I'm gonna let this sit for a few seconds before I blend it out, and maybe that'll help with the coverage level too. So I'm gonna let this sit for like 30 seconds. All right, let's blend out the second layer. So I'm blending out the second layer the same way I did the first layer. I'm just trying to keep it in place as much as possible. I'm not trying to spread the product around too much at this point. So this second layer, y'all can't see it just yet, but this second layer is definitely giving me more coverage than the first one. All right, now I'm gonna spread it around a little bit. I always drag my concealer up here because I have marks from wearing glasses all day. And then I'm also gonna kind of spread it down. And then I'm gonna spread it out a little bit. After I do the other eye, I also use my concealer to try and clean up the eyeshadow. I'm not gonna do that just yet, because I don't want to accidentally pick up eyeshadow on my brush just yet. But so this is the second layer, so it definitely gave me more coverage than the first. So I do think that you can build this up to a full coverage. I will say that I've tried other concealers that have given me more coverage than this, but I do think you can build it up to a full coverage. I like the finish of it, nice and natural. It's not drying or anything, because I do have like oily combo skin, but the under eye area for me is drier than the rest of my face. So I like how it feels hydrating so far. And I think that I would consider this a brightening concealer, but it's going to be hard for you all to see that on my skin tone because of these shades. The brighter one here is just not the right undertone for me, but maybe I should have used this one on its own so that you can kind of see the brightening effect of it. But because I had to mix these two shades together, it's really not giving me as much brightening as I would like, but I'm not going to fault that to the product. It's just the shades that I had to go by. So in case this is your first time watching one of my complexion product reviews, I do go through that a lot because I have a pink undertone and it's pretty prominent, and unfortunately that's just not widely available in complexion products in my range. So I often have to use products that just don't have the right shade for me. But I do like it so far. I think that I want just a little bit more coverage from it for it claiming to be a full coverage concealer, but overall I think I really like it. So I'm gonna do the other eye, and I think, you know what, just for the sake of, we're just here trying it out, I'm gonna do just this shade first. And let's see what it looks like, because I want you all to see the brightening effect of it. So this is the lighter shade Peak Performance. I can't remember the name of these shades to save my life. So you see how that's much more of like a yellowy, like neutral undertone. It's just gonna like clash with my undertone when I blend it out, but it does look like it'll give you like a really nice brightening effect if you get the right shade. So I'm gonna let this sit for a few seconds and then I'll blend it out. So I'm just patting right over it so I don't spread it around too much. Okay, so see if you can get past the shade difference and focus on the coverage level. Can you see how on this under eye here, a lot of that darkness did get covered up with that first layer, but it's just not as much coverage as it is over here. So let me check one other thing. I don't believe it said buildable. So it doesn't say that it's buildable. It says that it's full coverage. So when something claims to be full coverage, I expect to get full coverage with the first swipe of product. This one is more so like you can build it up to a fuller coverage, which that's not a bad thing because not everybody needs like super full coverage under your eye. So if you don't have as much under eye darkness as me, then this type of concealer would be good because you just won't need like a couple layers to like really mask out the darkness. But I hope y'all can see that one layer just doesn't give as much coverage as the second layer. But again, when something claims to be full coverage, I expect to get full coverage with the first layer. So I'm going to go on top with another layer. I'm sticking with the lighter shade, and I'm going to let it sit for a few seconds. Okay, and let's blend the second layer out. Okay, so that is the second layer of the lighter shade. I am going to go back on top of this with a little bit more of the deeper shade because I just don't like the way that this under eye looks. It looks just off to me because of the shade, but I wanted y'all to see like the brightening effect of it, but to me it just doesn't look right like this. So I'm taking, let me make sure I'm picking up the right one. I'm taking the deeper shade. This is CEO, and I'm just putting just a little bit more of that on top of this, just so that my under eyes match each other in terms of like color. All right, so this under eye over here, just before I go back and kind of clean this up a little bit, it's really nothing to clean up. Like, this has been sitting over here for a few minutes, and sometimes concealers, they may start to crease on you before you set it with a powder, but this one has been sitting for a few minutes and it's still not creasing. It still looks really good. To me, it looks like I just applied it. It doesn't look quite as like freshly applied and quite as wet as this eye over here, but to me, it still looks nice and hydrating. And it's not creasing, but I am still going to go back over it with my brush just to flatten it out one more time before I go in and set it. But so far so good. Like, I like the way that the concealer applies. I do like the coverage level, but I do have other concealers that have given me more coverage. But overall, I do like it so far. So I'm going to set my under eye with my Kosas powder. I can't find my regular brush, so I'll just use this one. For today, I'm setting just the immediate under eye area. Okay, so that's what the under eyes look like, all nice and set. So I like this. I think it looks really, really good. So I'm going to finish up the rest of my makeup off camera. We'll come back. I'll show you what that looks like. I kind of already gave y'all my first impression, so we'll jump into the wear test in just a couple minutes. Okay, so here is the finished look for today. So the concealer has been sitting on my under eye for about 10 minutes now, set with the powder, and so far so good. I think it's wearing very well, but it's only been a few minutes. So overall, I'm just not all that crazy about my makeup for today, and that's primarily because the under eye is not looking, like the whole center of my face is not looking quite as bright as I'm used to, but I'm gonna try to stay focused on how the concealer is laying on the skin. I'm gonna be focusing on, is it creasing at all? Is it caking up or anything like that? Because not all of you are going to have shade issues like I did, so just keep that in mind. But in terms of like how it's wearing on my skin so far, it's wearing very well. So I'm gonna wear it for the day and we'll just see what it looks like, you know, after about 8 or so hours. So it's a little after 8 o'clock in the morning, so I don't know if I'll be able to do a check-in today, but nonetheless I will be back after about 8 hours and I'll show you how the concealer wore, and then I will give you all my final thoughts. Okay, it is going on 4:30 in the evening, so we're basically at, like, I think we're just like a few minutes over our 8-hour mark for today. So this is what we're looking like. So let me know what y'all are thinking in the comments. I think my under eyes look okay, but I do have some pros and some cons that I'm going to share with you on this new Mented concealer. So my first pro is, after having it on for 8 hours, I still feel like my under eyes look nice and hydrated, and I really appreciate that because I have drier under eyes, so I definitely would consider this a hydrating formula. And my second pro is just how it laid on the skin during the day. So I've been looking in the mirror here and there, and looking in the mirror now, I don't see any visible creasing, which is great. So those are definitely two pros about how this wore today: nice and hydrating and no visible creasing. Now I do have to point out a con. First, let me go back to I guess a con that I mentioned earlier today. The concealer does claim to be a full coverage concealer. I think it's more so medium to full, because I do think you have to apply a second layer to build it up to full, which that's not bad, but you know, I'm just going off of the claim of it being like a straight full coverage concealer. I think it's more medium to full. However, I do think, even though it's very, very minimal, like I don't even think you could notice it unless I pointed it out to you, the coverage did fade in a couple of areas during the day, but like super minimal. But I do have a little brown spot right here under this eye, and then I have another one like right in the middle of this under eye. The concealer covered them up this morning, however they are visible to me now. Like I said, it, I don't think it would be noticeable unless I like showed it to you. But you know, it's noticeable to me because I'm really paying attention to how the concealer is wearing. So I noticed that maybe like 2 or 3 hours ago. I don't know if the coverage started to fade earlier than that. That's just when I happened to notice it. But despite that, I mean, it's not to the point where I would feel uncomfortable like wearing this if I'm out somewhere. I do think overall the concealer did wear okay. I know that a lot of you go off of my under eye concealer recommendations because we have similar under eye concerns. So if you're one of those people, I do feel like I would not pick this up over my staple concealers, which are the Anastasia one, Too Faced Born This Way, Rose Ink, and also Estee Lauder Double Wear Radiant Concealer. I'll list those in the description box just in case they help. I don't think I would pick those concealers up, or I'm sorry, I don't think I would pick this concealer up over any of those, but this definitely wasn't like a horrible concealer where by any means it's not going to be a go-to for me. So those are my final thoughts on this new Mented concealer. So I hope that y'all found this video helpful. If you did, please let me know by giving me a thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel before you head out, and I will see y'all back here for my next one. Until then, take care. Have a good one, y'all. Bye.